special edition of The Close Fist. I am Russ. Sitting next to me, ECW, do I dare say legend?
Original. I won't call it legend.
Original CW Anderson. Welcome back to Buffalo, man.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's been a long time since I've been here in wrestling. A long time.
I was going to say, I overheard you talking about some of your memories coming to Buffalo and everything like that. What was your best memory, do you think?
Best was probably the night I beat Raven at the, was it Burt Flickinger
Center, yeah.
That was probably my best memory of being there. I don't remember too much later that night because Atlas and Jack victory got me drunk so bad that that's a long story within itself. But the memory of beating Raven, one of my first big matches was Balls and Axel. The very first time I stepped in the ring with Balls and Axel was at that arena. Those are two great memories. And again, at the end of that, I got total decapitation from Axel and Balls, which knocked me silly from that chair shot. You got a caveman hitting you in the top of the head, so.
I was going to say chair shot from Balls Mahoney.
Yeah.
You're going to feel that one for probably the rest of your life.
He used to get mad at me because he'd give me probably 10 of my 18 concussions. He used to get mad at Bill and I because he would hit us and give us concussion. He was like, well, why did you tell me I give you a concussion? Balls, you're a freaking caveman, dude. You're swinging a steel chair. How are you not knowing you're not giving us a concussion? So he was like a gentle giant, but he didn't want to hurt you, but he didn't have no problem hit you with that damn chair.
Now I'm sure over your time since ECW that you hear the ECW chants and whatnot. What does that do for you? How do you feel when that happens?
It still feels good because you still. The fans still appreciate it. They still respect it. It's like I would say we have a cult following. We're like the Rocky Horror Picture Show. And I don't think it's ever going to die. No other company's had the following that we have and never will. Yeah. But it feels good to get those ECW chants. Even last weekend, I did a match where I pulled out barbed wire and they immediately started chanting ECW. That's what they associate. Anytime somebody from ECW pulls out something like barbed wire, you're going to get the ECW chant.
Oh, my goodness. I mean, how much do you miss the ECW days?
Every day.
Really?
Yeah. That was the best year and a half of my life. And I spent 7 good years in Japan being over there, but ECW was the best year and a half of my life because that group I was part of, everybody in that locker room, we were such a close-knit, we called each other family. It was basically a family. And I miss those guys. I still keep in touch with a lot of them, but I miss being on the road, performing for the ECW crowd. Every day I miss it.
I mean, when you were growing up, as a kid, who was the wrestler that got you hooked in there?
Far as being my idol, the guy that's still my idol is Bobby Eaton. That's the guy that I idolized. That guy I patterned a lot of my stuff after, and because I wanted to be Bobby Eaton when I got into wrestling, I want to be where I could go in the ring, work a broomstick, or work Ric Flair and have a 5-star match, and that was Bobby. Yeah. He was that type of worker. Now, the one that got me hooked, a lot of people, when I tell this story, I used to hate wrestling growing up. And my brother got me hooked watching wrestling.
Really?
So one day, we're sitting there, and he says, come watch this wrestling match. I was like, I don't want to, Kevin. I don't care nothing about it. He said, just watch it. It just so happened it was the Rock and Roll Express versus the Russians, Ivan Koloff and Crusher Khrushchev, to where the Russians dropped the belt to Ricky and Robert because Ricky rolled up Uncle Ivan with a small package of Victory Roll, something along those lines. And a few months ago, I'm sitting in the locker room, and there's Ricky and Robert and Barry Darsow in the locker room. And of course, that's right after Uncle Ivan passed away. So the 3 of the 4 people that got me hooked on wrestling was in the locker room. And I remember when that match happened and when he rolled up Uncle Ivan and they won, my brother and I were jumping around like the Americans had just defeated the Russians. It's 1984, 1985.
Yeah.
So that's what we were. I was 12 years old at the time, so I was celebrating, jumping around. I was hooked. So Rock and Roll Express, Crusher Khrushchev, and Ivan Koloff got me hooked. But Bobby Eaton was my idol, and still is my idol to this day.
Man, now your first match, you're coming out of the power plant, you're ready. How did you feel going into your first match? Tell us about the butterflies.
At ECW.
At ECW, okay.
Yeah, that was nerves. I went for a tryout, and my buddy had a tryout. And let me take that back. He went for the tryout. I went to hang out and just see everybody and see Steve Carino, because Steve Carino and I knew each other from the Carolinas from years before. So I just went to see him because he had gotten ECW about 6 months prior. Nova was running the tryouts. My buddy's tryout didn't go that well. The guy looks at me and asked me to have my gear. I said yes. I get in the ring, work out, and the guy that happened to be Simon Diamond that I was working out with. I get done, I hear a guy from the crowd say, "Get the ball guy back in the ring." It was Paul Heyman tell Fonzie to get me back in the ring. For like the next hour, I'm working out with different guys. At the end of that night, I'm trying to condense it for you. At the end of that night, at the end of the tryout, Paul Heyman comes in, tells me not. He talks to me for a little bit, tells me not to leave. Before the show starts, somebody comes and gets me. I go in the back. Paul's sitting there with Vito LaGrassa, Danny Doyle, and Rokiel, and says, this is Danny, this is Rokiel, you're tagging with Vito, your third match, welcome to ECW.
No kidding.
So I got my job that night just by mistake. Right time, place at right time. And walking out in front of that ECW crowd, I will never forget that. We were in Georgia. Yeah. That butterflies were going crazy because here I am, a guy that didn't think he belonged anywhere, and here I'm walking out in front of the ECW crowd. This one with Taz and Bubba, and Devon was still there.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was June 6th of 1999. So the butterflies were going crazy, and getting that first match, and then just taking off from there.
Man, how did and after your first match, how did you feel after that?
It was almost like a huge weight. I knew I had a lot to do, but it was like a huge weight. I remember calling my wife and calling my mom, and was beyond excited that I said I just got a job with ECW, and my wife was like, "What?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "I thought you just went to see some people." I said, "Yeah, I ended up getting a job." So like the next week they're in Charlotte or North Carolina, which I'm from North Carolina. I live in Raleigh, so I went down and it was a 4-day loop. I started there, and it just took off from there.
How much of this whole business is right place, right time?
90% of it.
Yeah.
Who you know, right? And again, it's who you know, because that night of my tryout, somehow Paul Heyman knew that Steve Corino and I were friends because it got the word around. He went and talked to Steve about the CW Anderson guy, and Steve put me over huge to him. Steve and I were friends. Steve knew and I could work, and it worked out. And it's politics, knowing the right people, and again, being at the right place, letting the right people see you. It's that if you're out of sight, you're out of mind.
Right. Now social media's blown up over the last 10 years, Facebook, Instagram, and all that stuff. How much of a game changer do you think that's been in the wrestling business?
Huge. It's huge. With the way streaming services are now, look at New Japan.
Yep.
The way New Japan's blown up because of, the Americans with the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega and his matches with Okada. Those matches. Back then you would have never had that because you would have never been able to see it. And the guys are being able to push their sales through social media. We couldn't do that now. We're able to do that, but social media is a game changer. You know more about the business now than you've ever did. It's a more open environment.
What keeps you coming back to this business?
The locker room.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like wrestling and entertaining the fans, and now I just turned 47 last week. I'm in the best shape I've ever been in, ever, and I'm still able to wrestle like I'm 25 years old. I haven't slowed down a bit, but being in the locker room with guys I know, guys I've been around with for 20 some years, and being back there and seeing them, that camaraderie, that. Plus a little bit of being in front of the fans and seeing them, it keeps me, it's my drug. Yeah, but I love the camaraderie of the locker room and stuff.
When you deal with younger wrestlers, you see like the next generation come up. Is there like a common mistake you see them make, and you're kind of maybe pull them aside and say,
doing too much.
Yeah, way too much.
Trying to hit everything they can do, trying to do everything. Trying to hit every match, as we call it, like it's WrestleMania.
Right.
They're trying to do everything, and I try to tell the guys, there's a common thing that goes around: less is more. But you can do less and still get more out of it. But how you position and what you do with matches or in your match, you can't just do less and get more out of it. You have to do. It's just the whole meaning of bringing the fans into it. But guys, I tell guys, you have a bump card, and the more crazy things you do, the more things you do, you're going to fill up that bump card. And you're going to retire quicker, because if you can't do, a lot of these guys are so athletic, it's unreal. I envy some of the guys because it's like watching acrobats work.
Yeah.
And I can't do that stuff, so I envy them for being that athletic. But still, you can save your body, and you don't have to do as much and still get more out of it. Cedric Alexander is a prime example. I used to tell him the same thing. Cedric is so talented. I've been in the ring with him, a great performer, and it took him a little while to realize you ain't had to do everything to save his body, and Cedric's like me when it comes to when you go out there, you want to give the fans everything you can give them, get their money's worth, and that's what Cedric does. That's why he's up there now because he deserves to be there. And I used to, it's nothing against, I used to tell Cedric, bro, just take half of it, save your body, man. You got a long road because he's such a young kid and so talented. I don't want to see him burn out. I don't want to see him my age and can barely walk. So that's that, and that's, I'm just using him for an example,
right,
because I do know Cedric and I've been in the ring with him. But guys that are just like that, are, have that athletic ability, just back it off some to make your career. Why do you think Rock and Roll Express can still do what they can do?
Yeah.
There's still kids. I wrestled them not too long ago, and kids 10, 12 years old chanting rock and roll. They weren't even born when rock and roll was famous. It's because they're saving their body and they're still entertaining the fans. It's about giving the fans that entertainment value.
How much is, how long does it take a young guy, and maybe speak for yourself, when you were going up the rings, how long does it take to get the psychology of it down?
It took me about 5 or 6 years. Okay. And it really, because I never got trained. I actually got in the ring at a school that was local, and nobody that had made anything was teaching me anything that was worthwhile. Right. So I was kind of learning in the ring as I went. It wasn't until 97, and I'd been in the business about 5 years, right, before Sergeant Buddy Lee Parker and Pez Watley and Mike Winter got their hands on me at the power plant and taught me psychology. Now, I learned a lot from Uncle Ivan Koloff and Wahoo McDaniel, guys like that, asking them psychology. But putting it all together, it wasn't until Sarge got his hands on me and taught me that stuff. And once I learned the psychology of it, it was like a whole new world opened. Because it was that whole, you could do less and get more of it by bringing the fans into your match. And that's what the guys are missing. They think going out there and doing 1,000 moves is getting the fans into it. And it's not. It's an emotional roller coaster. If you can bring those fans into it, you got them.
Well, I want to say welcome back to Buffalo. And
I love being back here. Yeah. Other than the weather for right now, coming from North Carolina, it was a huge drag. But yeah, I love being back up in Buffalo.
And here's to more memories.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.